Welcome to the Hangar Z Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and partnered with Vertical Valor Magazine. In this two-part series, John Gray and Jack Schonely sit down in the recording booth of Vertical Magazine at VAI Verticon in Dallas, Texas, with one of our favorite people in law enforcement aviation. Pilot Tony Weber has 42 years on the job with San Diego County Sheriff's Office, 32 of which were spent working air support. Tony has been a guest and a co-host on the Hangar Z Podcast many times, but this time there's a fantastic bonus. Tony's wife, Wendy, joins us to discuss the journey of a spouse in law enforcement. You do not want to miss Wendy's perspective on the good times, bad times, loss of friends, SWAT callouts, wildfires, celebrations, and even retirement. Wendy's insight provides a great path to a successful marriage in a law enforcement family. Tony will discuss his amazing career from the academy as a 20-year-old to his jail tour, patrol duty, SWAT, and his 32 years in aviation. He has seen firsthand a great deal of change over those years in a variety of airframes, technology, safety, CRM, and unit culture. This was a wonderful conversation with two amazing people, and there might even be a few surprises, including a first on the Hangar Z, a game show. Thank you to our sponsors, Airbus, Metro Aviation, and Tracka Systems.
Welcome to the Hangar Z Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. The Hangar Z Podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Join your host, John Gray, Jeff Ratkovich, and Jack Schonely.
Still southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like they're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, threw the shotgun, threw something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
4 on the stop. You're in custody.
They're advising code 4 on the stop.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Hangar Z Podcast. I'm your host, John Gray, at VAI or Verticon 2025 in Dallas, Texas. And man, we couldn't have started this show off with any better guest than we have sitting here with us today. They're true friends, legend, some call a burning bush in the industry.
Oh, boy, here we go. Wow.
But we've had Tony Weber on a few times. You know, he's got some experience as a co-host in the Hangar Z Podcast, a little bit of experience in law enforcement, just a few years.
Just a couple.
How many years?
32 flying and 42 on the Sheriff's Department.
And you're number one in seniority in your department,
Number
right?
one in seniority, and I haven't even gotten a cup of coffee out of it.
Wow. Wow.
Well, part of the reason we're bringing you on, just part of the reason, is to announce a new milestone in your life, something that you informed us of not long ago. Can you share with our listeners what that is?
Sure. So I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 42 years. I was lucky enough to fly in the air unit for 32 of that. And I'm slowly coming up on retirement at the end of this month. And it's pretty awesome to be able to culminate the career with, bowing out on my own terms and still getting to fly a little bit in the unit afterwards as a retiree. And, work a little more with SR3 Rescue and take a few more side jobs there. So the timing finally felt right, and I feel pretty good about it.
So you're retiring, but not retiring.
Yeah, let's call it semi-retirement.
Yes, that's
and it's a good way to slide out instead of, giving up flying and going cold turkey. They're going to have me cut back as a retiree to help them out because they're low on pilots. And I'll stick around for a little while until they catch up.
More important than having Tony here is having his beautiful wife, Wendy, with us. Wendy is a beautiful person, wonderful friend. Had a chance to spend some time with you at a few different conferences and dinners in San Diego, and really curious to hear your insights and some reflections from you on the career that Tony's had, because you've had a huge part in that. Every law enforcement family deals with a lot of things that aren't normal. We go to work and deal with that side, and and our spouses stay home and take care of all the stuff that we'll never know about. But I'm interested again to get your reflection and some insight from you on, what you've experienced over the last 40 plus years, and just honored to have you sit with us. Like I said, you're a wonderful person and love you to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah.
Honored to
we're
be
thrilled.
here in support of Tony and to be here with you, John, and you, Jack. It's, wow. I'm like fangirling.
Yeah. Fangirl.
I love it.
And with us to celebrate Tony's career is the commander, Jack Schonely. How you doing, sir?
Commander of nothing. I'm doing good. This is exciting, Tony.
Yeah, you know what,
I mean,
guys?
we talked about it last year.
Yes.
In this booth, we talked about retirement, and one of the lines was, "You'll know when it's right."
Exactly.
And we were waiting and saying that'll never happen with this guy. And then one day we got a call and find out that you are doing it, and we're thrilled for you and excited for it because we know what
appreciate
lies
that.
ahead. And wow, 42 years. That's a long time in law enforcement, period. And just congratulations. This is a
Thank you.
big deal.
Thank you. And to, be invited on the podcast with two of my best friends. You guys have been through the retirement process. So I'm looking forward to joining you and still, for a small part, be still part of the industry like you guys.
Oh, you
are.
will be. You will be. You'll be involved in it for a long time.
Everybody knows Tony Weber.
Yeah.
And,
your experience, they're going to come to you. You're going to get calls,
Yeah.
And constantly with the SR3 stuff and with work and away from that. You'll just get calls out of the blue. Hey, tell me about this.
Yeah.
You have a lot of wisdom and experience and seen things, and there's another generation or a couple generations
Absolutely.
behind that are going to need that. They're going to
Absolutely.
be doing the same thing you've been doing, but the experience level that you have is amazing. So
I appreciate that.
We're
I
excited.
Really do.
Yeah, not
This
to
is
mention
great.
the times you'll be on the Hangar Z podcast talking about your experience. So.
More time for us.
Yeah.
I'm ready to co-host. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think we have somewhat of a surprise, a new addition to the podcast.
Yeah.
Just for you two.
Yeah,
so I'll
so-
hand it over to Jack and let him go from there.
Yeah, there's let's see. We've got
Oh boy.
my an intro song even to the new game show that is now on the Hangar Z podcast. And not everybody's going to get this game show, but the two of you are. And it's titled Steve Perry's Next Line.
Oh wow.
So for those of you on the podcast that know Tony or follow him on Instagram, you know that this guy and Wendy are big Journey fans. Some of the biggest Journey fans that I personally know.
God.
So for retirement, we decided.
This is
good.
crazy.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a line.
Okay.
I'm going to read a line, and then you're going to tell me exact words, the next line
Okay.
of what Steve Perry would say next.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And if you sing it, you get bonus points.
Oh,
And if
bonus
you sing
points.
it together, you get like harmony bonus points.
I already got my challenge
well-
coin, so I'm good.
Yeah, you just stay sitting right there.
I just have to say right now, I am not the Journey fan. I'm the Journey fan supporter.
Yes.
So I'm going to fail miserably in
That's
this.
okay. He's going to take care of that.
She just
You
bowed
can
out.
support him. Because you'll be able to answer most of
Yeah,
these.
she got thrown under the bus.
First of all, how many Journey concerts have you gone to?
I'm going to be guessing, but I would say 15.
15.
At least.
Yeah, at least
Wow.
15. Yeah.
Okay.
From
so,
back when Steve Perry was still lead singer to all the way till now to the little Arnell guy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I've been to a lot of them. Yeah.
wow. If you don't get these questions.
Oh, I don't know
you're
that
gonna-
much
you're
about
gonna.
him. So
And I told Tony that my wife Tracy, when I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this with Tony," and she said, "Oh, that's really cool," and she goes, "You be nice, don't you?
Yeah.
Be obscure." I said, "I'm
Tracy,
going to
thank you,
ease into
Tracy.
it." Yeah. So the first one, really easy.
okay.
So the question, the line that I'm going to give you, and then you give me the next line.
Okay.
I'm forever yours.
Well, that's the title of part of one of his songs, and it's the next line.
Yeah. Next line is.
I'm going to do a call out to my wife, and she's going to help me out there.
Faithfully.
See?
Outstanding.
It's going to be the
Outstanding. Look at that. So the Journey fan supporter
Yes.
got that one.
Yeah.
All right.
You know,
very
we're a
good.
team. We're a team.
And remember, you can sing these and get bonus points.
I don't think I'm going to sing.
All right.
I'll sing with you.
Okay. All right, bro.
The wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
Yes. The next line.
Next line is.
I don't know where I'd be without you.
Ooh.
Oh. Am I close?
Close.
Oh,
yeah.
Then I shouldn't have
Wendy?
got that.
Wow. We want exact answers. 15 concerts plus.
Oh, man.
No
Wendy?
idea.
No?
I'm close.
I don't know where I'll be tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got 3/4 of it.
You did.
All right, so I get partial points.
You get partial points. Partial points. All right. Next one. This is the line, and then you're going to give me the next line. All night, every night.
I'm going to say I don't know that song very well.
Oh, you do too.
Yeah. What is the next line? Do you have it?
No,
Oh.
no idea.
Oh, man. The sound effects.
Come on, Tony. All night, all every night. So hold tight,
Oh, see, I don't
Hold
know that
tight.
song that well.
baby, hold tight.
Wow. Could you sing that for me?
No.
Oh, okay.
You just sit there and answer.
I thought you were going to sing it for me.
No, I can't do that.
Oh,
We want listeners. The smell of wine and cheap perfume.
Oh.
The smell of wine and cheap perfume.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I can just
I
see
know.
the next line.
I
Help
can
me out
hear
here.
it. I can hear it,
Yes.
but I can't come up
For
with
a
it.
smile.
Go on and on and on.
You're missing something right
yeah,
between there.
yeah.
For a smile, they can share the night.
Oh, yeah. We
It
can
goes
go on and on and on. Okay, I
And
get
we got
partial.
some singing out of it.
I get partial points on
You do.
that one.
There's
All right,
partial
we're
point.
doing pretty good, actually.
All right, last one. Bonus round.
All right, here
this
we
is
go.
a hard one.
All right.
I got a feeling you might not get this, but
Okay.
remember, you can sing it. I didn't want to say goodbye. This is the hardest one.
I don't have that one. Wendy?
Now,
Nothing.
this
You
is a
got
hard
that?
one.
Help us out, Jack. Oh, that sound effect.
Send her my love.
Oh, okay.
That's a great song.
Yeah. No, that's a great song.
But that was a little bit more
That's
obscure.
one of the best.
So I.
So what did we get?
I
Like
it.
80%?
Oh, you got 80% on that.
I feel pretty good about that.
Okay, but I'm just going to say I answered 100% correctly.
Okay, so
Yes.
Wendy
Yes.
really saved you on that one.
Give her another
You got
challenge
full
going.
Yes, she
points
gets-
for that
she
one.
gets extra points.
You know, it's funny. It's harder when you don't have the music playing
Yes.
It is.
to
Yes.
recall the
Thank
the
you.
lyrics.
It
You
truly
I'm
is.
throwing you one, babe.
Yeah,
I'm,
You need,
you.
I'm
you need the
trying.
tune
that.
to go.
Yeah, yeah.
To remind you of the words.
Instead
Yeah.
of the crickets and tumbleweeds, you should have had background music.
And then YouTube blocks us. And for
Yeah.
copyright.
Oh, I didn't,
So
I didn't think about
otherwise,
that.
remember, believe me, we talked about
Wow.
having the real music.
To warm up for this morning in the gym, I motivated myself for this conversation listening to Journey.
Yeah.
In your
Oh,
guys'
man.
honor.
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet you got
so
a better
good.
workout in it, too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I almost killed myself.
Well, great. Thanks for partaking
Oh,
in that.
dude, that was good.
Tony
Thank you.
and
That was
Wendy.
awesome. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
For this particular conversation, we felt like we want to do something different, and you're a good sport, and we thought it'd be fun to do that. So thanks
yeah.
for doing that with us.
That was good. I appreciate that.
You kind of talked about your career a little bit, but for folks that may not have heard your previous podcasts or that aren't familiar with you and where you work and whatnot, can you give us a little snapshot of your career, what you're currently doing, and the things that you've done in the past?
Sure. So I came on the Sheriff's Department at 20 years old and turned 21 actually in the academy. So I think back then, right at the beginning, I was the youngest guy in the academy. Not too many people get hired at 20. So I was like the Doogie Howser of the Sheriff's Department there in the academy. So I got through the academy, and then at the time on the San Diego Sheriff's Department, you had to do a jail tour. You had to get assigned to the jails. So I think I did about 3 years there. So I did my detentions tour, got out, went to patrol, patrolled an area of San Diego called Lemon Grove. Lemon
busy
Grove,
area.
Casa de Oro, Spring Valley. Yeah, very busy area, a lot of crime going on. So I cut my teeth there in the patrol realm. Got to take a lot of different calls, and then got a lot of experience there. And then I got the SWAT team bug, and I went to a SWAT tryout, did 2 weeks in the SWAT academy, thinking, hey, I'm the young guy, I don't have much patrol time, I'll get on the list and they'll pick me up at some later date. And I remember calling Wendy that day and said, hey, we just finished the academy. They do an exit interview, and I'm coming home in my Crown Victoria SWAT vehicle. And she was like, what? I was just as surprised. So I got picked up at a very young age on the SWAT team. again, the youngest guy in the SWAT team.
We've seen the pictures.
Yeah. Did you see that
He's
pompadour?
a baby.
The Anglo
Such a
pompadour.
young man in that SWAT photo.
I look like a kid. And I look back on it now. I'm like, who is that guy? So did a few years on the SWAT team, and then I've always wanted to get into the aviation unit, probably like you guys did. That was like a future goal. And I was giving a class during our own SWAT academies, and it was a skid riding class. And I was given that class on the MD 500s. And so when they had an opening in the air unit, they already knew me from giving the class, and they recruited me. And so I said, I mean, I haven't been here that long. Went over and interviewed. Back then, it's not much of the interview process now to where you're competing against a whole bunch of guys. It was more they came to choose you. So I went over there for a short interview. Next thing I know, I'm making another phone call. Hey, I'm leaving SWAT and I'm going to aviation. Wow. So if you think you take all the way back to starting out in aviation as a TFO and then finally getting trained in-house to be a pilot. So I started there, and then 32 years later, I never left. I stayed with aviation. That was my passion.
But lots of changes during that 32 years. Airframes, jobs, positions, responsibilities. Tell us about that. Some of those different things that you did in that 32 years.
So if you think about it, I rolled into the aviation unit when they...
Before you said the other day on the first inaugural SR3 podcast that your flying partners included some historical figures. Who were those people? Or the
Wright brothers?
Yeah, the Wright brothers.
Wright brothers,
And you got along with both of them.
Wow. Dang, I didn't see that one coming. The Wright brothers. All right.
So we have to go back to that point. I mean, that was the first airframe.
Yeah, both brothers were very cool, and they did take me up on a ride along in that thing. But, thanks for throwing that out, that I'm older than dirt.
So if it makes you feel better, you're younger than me. So
okay, that does make me feel better.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, and save lives and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
But to go back to starting out in the air unit, when I just left the SWAT team, they still had 2 Bell 47s, and then they had 3 MD 500Ds. And I got in there and I did some TFO time. I only think I did like a year of TFO time. And then they said, hey, you're going to go into pilot training. And I feel very fortunate because back in the day, there was a guy at Astrea, and I'm going to throw his name out there. His name was Archie Trott. He was one of those legends in the unit, and he was a plank owner. And I was going to be his last student before he retired.
Nice.
And I'll have Wendy jump in here in a minute on the nice message. We invited him to the retirement party. He lives all the way up in the Pacific Northwest, but I'll have her chime in here for a minute with something he said and almost made her cry. So I was his last student, and I started out in the Bell 47, got 250 hours there, and then transitioned. So I got my ticket in the Bell 47, then transitioned over to the MD 500D. And did several years there. And then just to compare that start to where we are now and everything in between, the look at the technology and the advancements from, a D Model 500, a Bell 47, and then going up through the Bell 407s analog. Then we went into the Bell 407 GXIs with the glass cockpits. On the fire rescue side, we were flying Bell 205s. Never had mediums. All our rescue work was out of the 500. We were doing short haul. Yeah. Now we introduced the mediums. Now we're into the hoist rescue realm, firefighting. We got the simplex tanks. Just the journey from day one to where we are now. And we got our first twin engine Bell 407 GXI with a glass cockpit. I look back at where we started and the culture then and where we're at now and the culture now, it's almost like 2 different planets.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. We talk about, how I think the industry has gotten better over time.
Absolutely.
Not just with technology, but the culture that we talk about. And I feel like even in my short time, there was a betterment of, the crew coordination, the CRM, At first there was maybe a little bit of this is my side, this is your side.
Sure.
Did you see that change over the course of your career?
Absolutely. I mean, we started out, and I'll go back to the MD 500. No moving maps. I was a TFO. I had my pilot partner. We'd go on a call, and you had your regular Thomas Brothers map book, and I can't tell you how many times a Thomas Brothers map page went out the open door, and I'm being serious because they got old, the rings.
Oh, yeah.
We'd be flying along, and 90% of the time we had the front doors off just because San Diego and it's hot.
It's always nice.
Flipping through a Thomas Brothers, you really had to know the county, and you had to know how to use a Thomas Brothers, and you think about that. Now you go to a moving map that's in front of you, you punch in an address or a lat long, and it tells you where to go, what heading to fly.
How long it'll take you to get there.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just crazy how we've evolved from when I first started to where we are now with all the technology.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing to throw in, when we had our FLIR balls in the 500, we got visitors.
This is the coolest part about Verticon.
Oh, guys, that is cool.
His episode dropped yesterday. Kevin Gallagher from LAPD Air Support. How you doing, Kevin?
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you, bro.
That's
Hi,
awesome.
Swanee. This is the coolest thing because we're in the booth at Vertical, and people come by and say hello and wave.
Awesome.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah. So the FLIR balls on the 500s, we would come in, and every shift you would have to go over to the argon gas bottle, and you would have to charge that thing with argon gas to make everything on the FLIR work. That's how antiquated. I think
like a
back
bicycle
on it
pump.
now, antiquated.
Was it Orville or Wilbur that came up with that idea with the argon?
It was, I can't remember, but it was one of them. So thinking about technology, right? Another thought I had, it came into my mind the other day, is we would be on the night shift in a 500, no goggles, and you'd go from our base in El Cajon, 2 a.m, lost hikers in Borrego. So I remember this was normal to us. And I think back to it now, I'm like, were we out of our minds?
Yeah.
I would fly with my partner to Ramona, climb up to about 7,500 feet so I could clear the mountains that I couldn't see, fly eastbound in the dark, get over the search area, still at 7,000 feet, look down, tell the patrol unit that called us, turn your overheads on.
Yeah.
You look down, and there's these little overheads. You would spiral down, do what you got to do the search. We found the people, flew them out to Agua Caliente Airport, climb back up to 7,500 feet, and head westbound and finally see some lights.
Incredible.
And now I think about that, we got goggles.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
No, exactly. But it was normal.
It was normal. You and I'm sure you guys have similar stories. It was normal, and then fast forward to now, I'm like, I would never do that in a million years without any goggles, flying over the mountains with no moon.
Yeah. And that's in a 47.
That was in a 500.
Oh, it's a 500. Okay.
So the difference between then and now, 2 different planets.
Yeah. That story. Have you ever seen there's a movie called Night of the Grizzly? It's a true. It's like a documentary.
No, I
long story
seen
short, it's one night in Glacier National Park, probably late 60s, early 70s, where 2 people independently are killed by grizzly bears in 24 hours. 2 different grizzlies, 2 different parts of the park in one night. Unheard of.
Yeah.
There's a Bell 47 that goes to land to try and rescue them, and it's this old pilot that's doing what you did.
Yeah.
It is pitch black. There is no light.
Yeah.
They lit campfires for an LZ up by this lodge. And I just thought of that as you're saying how you climbed up, knew that, okay, I'm in 7,500. I can clear those mountains.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
But it was normal. It was expected. It was just, hey, that's what a helicopter can do. This is the technology we got.
Yeah.
Let's go do it. It's so much better now, safer now.
Oh, gosh.
And more efficient and effective. And
2 different worlds.
It
now.
is.
Yeah.
It is. Oh,
I mean,
my
I
goodness,
think back
Tony.
where, we had a MD 500, right? We didn't have our medium bells. We didn't have a hoist. We would do short hauls where, there's a live load off, the belly band and the hook.
Yeah.
That was normal to us. We would do skid rescues where it's a tiny little 500. We would slide a litter in sideways and put motorcycle straps on it. And then we would ride out on the skid and take him to the ambulance. It's mind-boggling, the stuff that was normal then, and you wouldn't think about doing it now.
Right.
Things have changed that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
for the
wild.
better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go to you, Wendy. We talked about his career from, day one. I want to hear from you some of the perspectives and thoughts you had as he entered this career field and progressed through the different assignments. What was some of the best things and what were some of the worst things about this whole experience?
Oh, gosh. I would say the good definitely, outweighs the bad.
For sure.
His time in the jail and the patrol was so short that I feel like I didn't have a whole lot of time to really figure out what an Ellie wife looks like and feels like. He kind of was on the fast track. Going into SCD or the SWAT team, of course, was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
No cell phones back then.
Right.
So, 18, 24-hour call out. You have no idea what's going on, where things stand. Sometimes it would be on the news, sometimes not. So that was a little painful, just waiting it out. But he wasn't there terribly long, and then he went to Astria. I was initially really nervous. Ashley was little when he went to Astria, and you just can't help but think, what if something happens? He's going to leave us. And
right.
Sorry, I'm going to get choked up.
No, that's okay.
So the night Archie Trott retired, he came over to me and he slid in next to me and he said, "Hey, I want to tell you something." He said, "I have trained a lot of people to fly. I have never trained anybody that has the natural ability that Tony has, and I don't want you to ever worry about him."
And he did not need to say that to her, but he was that kind of guy.
And that has stuck with me.
It is.
Through, like, for instance, the 2 big wildfires that we had, which are horrible conditions to be flying a helicopter in, they were terrible. And I just remember thinking, remember what Archie said? Remember what Archie said, and he expanded on it, but he just said, he is so smart. He is so safe. You just don't need to worry about him. And I've just held on to that, through the times where I knew he was in some pretty unsafe situations. Of course, a lot of them I don't know till after the fact.
Which is best.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's best.
He actually sent me a little note in response to his party invitation, and he said, Tony was the fledgling student that any CFI would want. He said, "I've told more people, Tony didn't climb into the helicopter. He put it on and wore it." And
That's an honor.
I wish you guys could meet this guy.
Oh, my goodness. That's the best compliment in the world.
Yeah.
I just told him, I said, you know what? That just means the world to me. I mean, I don't know anything about, being a helicopter pilot, but to have someone like Archie Trott tell me that about Tony, it meant a lot.
Very special.
It really meant a lot. Yeah.
All spouses worry. I mean,
Sure.
Unless you hate each other, spouses worry. Did you worry, like when he called you and said, "Hey, I'm coming home with a SWAT car," did that worry increase in your mind? I mean,
it did a little bit.
And then it happened again with air support
and then
where it
it
went up a
bumped
notch?
up. Yep, then it bumped up again.
I can relate to that. I bet you can too. My wife talks about that, and she worried about air support, and I left canine. And I said, "Honey, if you really knew what I did for the past 5 years every night, you wouldn't be worried at all. You'd be thanking me."
Yeah.
But she didn't understand. And the more she learned about air support, the less she worried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like you heard things from his instructor. You heard things. So the worry kind of goes down. You go, wow, this isn't as unsafe as the average person believes.
Sure.
It's very safe, as a matter of fact, in many ways.
Yeah.
I think SWAT's more dangerous than flying a helicopter in many ways, and patrol is the most dangerous
Oh,
thing
of course.
of all,
Agreed.
by far.
Agreed.
But to most spouses, you don't know. I mean,
Sure.
So that was interesting that you worried a little bit more, but then then you learn things like that, and it eased your mind, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't just turn the worry off.
No.
But it just gave me a sense of, okay, he's good at what he does. He's safe.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to hold on to that, and just pray that the Lord always has his hand on him. And
because 32 years, you would have gone crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
If you didn't ease that down. I mean, your initial feelings, if you don't get to the place that you got through all sorts of things, that would be a long time of being at that high level of concern.
That would stress you out.
It would.
You can't live like that.
Yeah.
This is so cool that we have you here. For people to hear this.
You think about it, you guys are obviously both in the same boat with your wives. To make it through a full career in law enforcement, take out the SWAT team and take out aviation, just law enforcement in general. I can't tell you how many marriages went south.
Yeah.
And to make it through all the peaks and valleys and the good times and the bad times, and we lost a few friends along the way, and
makes it
to
harder.
Survive that, it's not easy.
That's right.
So Wendy has been a rock star, and we're coming towards the finish line, or the semi-finish line, and we're still standing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
A testament to you guys as a couple, and they talked about the peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Every couple goes through that.
Absolutely.
So Wendy, for you, when you look back over the course of your career, and if you were to come up with a few pieces of advice for a new couple that's in law enforcement, a new spouse, what advice would you give that spouse as far as promoting a long, fruitful marriage and surviving this career?
Thanks to our sponsor, Traca Systems. With over 25 years delivering groundbreaking searchlights, stabilized EOIR cameras, mission mapping, and downlinking solutions, Traca products improve situational clarity and coordination with ground crews, increasing mission safety and effectiveness. Visit tracasystems.com. See clearly, act decisively.
She just did that to us, a new spouse.
Oh.
You touch on that.
Yeah. We have some friends who he is Riverside Sheriff.
You guys both know him well.
Aviation. And a friend of his had a friend who is really wanting to make a dramatic life career change at 47 years old. He wants to go into law enforcement. He wants to fly helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mike asked us if we would join them for dinner, and Tony and Mike were going to talk to the guy, and Ami and I would talk with the wife and just kind of answer questions and
look at this guy.
Just kind of help her see what life could look like,
right,
or would look like. So yeah, we did have that experience recently.
How did that go?
I'm not sure. I feel like she was in the mindset of whatever he wants, I'm good with, which if that's good for them, that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's obviously it's different for every couple. I would say for us, Tony left work at work most days. Mm-hmm. He did not come home. He wasn't a cop at home. He didn't have to, vent out his day and, kind of regurgitate every good, bad, and ugly thing that he saw or did, or, and I think that for us made a difference because when he came home, he was just Tony Weber.
Yeah.
He wasn't work-minded 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he is, but he didn't feel the need to play that role out loud.
Mm.
That's important. It's a great description.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important because you are a cop 24/7.
Right.
But you don't have to play that role when you're with
exactly.
your spouse and your kids and things like that. And if you do, that can lead to issues.
Yeah.
That's really cool that they thought to have people share that information before making the leap, and the fact that you were willing to participate, that's important.
Yeah.
Just like participating here today and sharing it with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, this is important stuff.
Yeah.
But she's been part of mentoring for prospective LE wives. Before we even started our day today, we met and I've put myself out there and word's gotten out, and I enjoy the role that military guys trying to get into civilian or law enforcement, they know I'll help them, and it's my way of paying it forward.
Right.
So this morning we met Marine Corps pilot. He's planning ahead. He has 3 years left, but he wanted to pick my brain, pick our brain. You know, he has a wife.
Yeah.
And we spent an hour and a half over breakfast on, all right, where do you want to go? Here are the avenues open to you. Here are your contacts. This guy's doing what you want to do right now. You can talk to him, and gave him everything he needed and tried to point him in the right direction. And I think that's something Wendy did with a future law enforcement wife. And we've done it. I know you guys have done it.
Sure.
Anybody who wants to start out in what we do, whether it be civilian or military, take the time to do that. And, you know, somebody along the way did that for you.
Yep.
And I remember that. And so anytime one of the military guys reach out to me, hey, I heard you're going to be at Expo. Yep, I will find time for you.
That's
and
cool.
we just did that this morning.
Great.
We talk about leaving it better than we found it all the time. And that's through mentorship. That's how we do that in this industry. And both of you have made an example of that. I love that. I want to go back to you because I'm very curious on the spousal side. In your time that you've mentored LE spouses, what would you say the most important or the most prominent piece of advice that you give to families are that are going into this profession?
I think, you know, stay grounded. I think as a wife, it's very easy in the beginning to be very giddy over the fact that, you know, your spouse is a law enforcement officer or is a pilot or, you know, a SWAT dude, whatever.
SWAT
you
dude.
know, you know,
above.
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, so much beyond that.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you've got to kind of stay grounded, stay focused. And again, I mean, I just can't say enough of spending your time as a couple or as a family and not having work always come into that.
Yeah.
The conversation, have friends outside of work.
Yes. Yep.
You know,
and we had a lot of friends that
really
weren't
most
law
of our
enforcement.
friends were outside of law enforcement. I think that's so important. You have to have that balance.
Yes,
you know,
gives you some perspective on life. Not
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah.
bad.
right.
You know, and I think when you're around just law enforcement minded people, that's kind of the theme, right? Everything's bad because it's all you experience.
Yeah.
So to bring people in that are positive, that are not in your line of work, I think is really important. We've done that. I've heard a lot of people talk about how important that is. I don't know if that's something you guys have employed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We tried hard to do that because of the things we're talking about. Otherwise, it gets very negative and you get very tainted,
Yeah.
you know, very quickly. And it's hard to get rid of that once you got it.
Sure. I
You
mean,
know?
just think
Yeah.
of the nature of our job. I mean, we are sometimes seeing people at their worst.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they're all criminals. I mean, we have all throughout our careers seen things that we can't unsee. Is
Right.
that the type of thing that you're going to choose to bring home? No, I didn't. There are things that happened at work or I've seen at work or some of the, you know, plane crashes I've been to. Wendy doesn't need to hear about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell her about your day, but you're not going to bring in those gory details.
Right.
I mean,
you can say,
you
hey,
just
I
need
had
to
a
do
bad
it.
day.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
bear with
Sure.
me, honey.
Yeah.
I had a bad day today. Yeah, but you don't have to tell her what it
Exactly.
is.
Yeah.
Why would you want to share that and have two people that have to visualize something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy. Good
And
advice.
I certainly don't want to make it sound like, you know, I expected Tony to leave everything at the door. That is not it
Right.
at all. Of course, he may need to come home and talk about it a little
Right.
bit, but it can't be all consuming.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like he has to come home and we have to just be Tony and Wendy Weber and, you know, a couple and parents. And so I just think that's vital.
It can't be okay. Hey, I'm home. Here's my first call today.
Yeah.
I did this.
Exactly.
On my second call today,
I actually have a recording.
Yeah, do you want to hear it?
Nope. That's
Yeah.
that would be a problem.
Yeah. So, I mean, for a long time, this is a full career, that, and maybe that doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for us.
Yeah.
And it got us where we needed to be. And that's not to say that, there weren't some deep valleys. I mean,
sure.
I'll bring it up now because I want to honor his name. But,
yep.
I wasn't that long into the aviation gig. And, I lost one of my best friends in a helicopter crash. And, man, you talk about bringing home the reality of how, and for Wendy too, the reality of how unforgiving this business can be if things go wrong. That is a reality check when you lose somebody close to you in your own unit, in a helicopter crash, in a helicopter that you have flown. That cuts to the core. Mm-hmm. And that something like that sets you back for a little bit.
Yep.
His name was Pat Coyle.
Yep.
Patrick Stephen Coyle. 1997, we had a crash, our first and only crash in our unit, and that was an eye opener. I mean, if you've never been through a police funeral, especially for somebody that you were close to, very hard on the wives. I mean, it's a horrible thing to go to. But I self-grounded myself for 2 weeks, and I had to think about, am I coming back? Do I really want to do this? It was good that the unit just said, you guys fly when you think you can fly, and if you don't want to fly anymore, that's okay. We'll find somewhere to. I mean, it's that kind of dynamic to where you just don't know if you want to do this anymore. So, that was rough.
Can you talk about your perspective during that time and, afterwards, how you felt when he was going to work?
That was a tough time. Again, trying to, in one ear, hear Archie's words, but in the other, remembering the wife and 2 children sitting at the front of that church, who did not have a husband and father coming home to them. It was tough, but I just had to trust that Tony was going to make the right decision for himself. And I felt confident that, he wasn't going to be some cowboy and just, I'll get back on that ball. I'll show it who's boss. You know what I mean? He was going to really think about what he was comfortable with. Am I confident to get back in that aircraft and, do what I do? And so I just, supported him, but told him just what you need to take the time that the department is allowing you to have. Don't feel rushed. Don't make a rash decision. And when he said, no, I'm good. This was a weird situation that happened. It, wasn't a mechanical failure. And so I, just trusted that his gut was guiding him correctly. And,
but you talked about it.
We did. We did.
There was a lot of back and forth.
We did.
Yeah. And it evolved around, after 2 weeks, I decided to climb back in the helicopter and, start it up and go fly. It's Canine Torque.
Hey, Torque.
Hi,
Hi, sweet girl.
The star of the show.
Everybody stopping by to see us.
Oh, she's so awesome.
Girl, Torque.
Hi, Torque.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Canine Torque and her handler, Chris.
So
Chris has been a guest on the Hangar Z
Coolest
Podcast.
ever.
We watched it.
Yeah. And Torque has been a guest.
She's got her Blades of Valor patch on. I love it.
So cool.
And Mike slapped that on the other day.
Oh, she is so awesome.
She is awesome.
Bye, Torque.
So after 2 weeks, we talked about it, and I told her, hey, I'm about 99.9% sure before NTSB report doesn't come out for a year.
Yeah.
But from what I knew, I said, I'm almost 100% sure the helicopter was fine. It wasn't the helicopter.
Yeah.
Nothing mechanical. I trust that helicopter. We had some long conversations, and then I finally, after 2 weeks, I got to get back in it.
Yeah.
Can you finally went flying?
Can you talk about the cultural part of that within the unit? How do you, as a unit, recover from that, and what did that look like for you guys?
So, the accident happened. There were some things that led up, and I won't we could talk like 3 hours for this. We had things going on in the unit regarding pilots, their ability to fly, stuff like that, and that kind of manifested into this crash. But after the fact, I'll go from there. I think most of us took 2 weeks off. Everybody was self-reflecting. You know, first thing you got to do is you got to get through your brother's funeral, and that is gut-wrenching. You guys have probably been there. That was the first hurdle. Get past that.
Yeah. And
then there was a lot of reflection on what happened, how it happened, why we think it happened. We knew pretty much how it happened. And then moving forward, you know that a lot of people are coming to visit you that you may not want there, but we had to be open to that. So the aftermath is FAA, NTSB. Everybody's coming to look at records, talk to people, interview people. And the good part about that is everything that may have been going not so good in the unit culture, safety, all that finally gets a spotlight put on it, which is a good thing. Trust me, it's a good thing. So that all gets identified, and then it's sad that somebody had to lose their life for big changes to be made, right? And so we made a lot of positive changes, everything from better training, going to MVGs, all the things that you would want to happen to turn your unit around, and maybe some of the unit culture changed. And so at the end of the day, when we finally got back to flying and we even took it a step further, we had FAA, NTSB come in. We even asked for an audit. We had an auditor come in and audit our whole unit. And, sometimes when you elect to put the spotlight on your unit and your members and everything that's going on, good things come out from it. It may be a little painful in the process. Point out, hey, you guys should have been doing this, this, and this. Here are some warning signs that you missed, and these are the things that you need to do. And the upside is we did them all, and we changed our unit and the culture, and it has just progressed to where we are now, and it's great.
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 160-plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
We've talked to a lot of agencies across the world, and I will say San Diego County Sheriffs have one of the best aviation programs that I've ever experienced and witnessed. So kudos to you guys for doing what you did. Those hard steps are difficult. In fact, we just had Cody Bogart on the podcast. Mm-hmm. We talked about audits quite a bit, and you being a part of SR3, that's something they offer. But I highly encourage anybody to participate in an audit, hopefully before an accident takes place.
Yeah.
You're not doing it in a reactive manner. You're doing it proactively and looking for ways to mitigate something bad from happening, like what you've just described.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, for those that are listening, what would you recommend doing? But I think you already answered the question. If unfortunately we're going to continue to have crashes, and we're going to continue to go to officer funerals, which are horrible.
Yeah.
So I think anytime we can get in front of things, be like, hey, if you haven't done this, this is something that you can do. This is what to expect, type thing. But you did a really good job of talking about what happened and the aftermath of that. So thank you for thank you for your vulnerability and talking about that and honoring your friend and partner. That is the hardest thing I think about our unit is the loss, or not our unit, our careers. And unfortunately, that's just not going to change. And
no matter what you do, it's going to happen. And what I like about what you said, Tony, is that you take a tragedy, it's over. You can't bring them back. You can't do anything about that. But what you can do is make things better and change things and learn from it and talk about it and hopefully avoid having something happen again.
Right.
And if you just bury it and just say, well, it's too painful to talk about.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Oh, that's trouble. Yeah. That's trouble. That's going to repeat itself at some point. Your unit handled that right. And I'm sure that there was, I don't know. We've never talked about this in depth, but I'm sure that there was tension. There was probably hard feelings. There was probably all sorts of negatives that we all try to avoid.
All of it.
And you had to invite it almost. And your unit knew we have to do this.
Yeah.
And we have to gut it out. And it's going to be better later because of gutting it out right now. It's painful right now.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be better later. And look where your unit is now. I mean, so that's proof that works. And, you know, like I said, I know of specific cases around the country where they do bury things and they don't want to talk about it because it hurts.
Sure.
Yeah.
It hurts. I get it. Nobody wants to talk.
It's gut wrenching. And one of the things I really appreciate and get a lot out of, and I tell people, you know, if you're in a unit and your department or city does not pay for you to come to Heli Expo and take some of these pre-conference courses, or go to if you're in the hoist rescue business, come to the hoist rescue users conference or, you know, rescue summit. I always tell them, if they won't pay for it yourself, because you will come to something like this. And when we just touched on it yesterday, I'll give an example. We were in the rescue summit and we had 3 guys get up, and I will tell you, I give these guys kudos. It was 3 different guys that lost a friend in an aviation accident, helicopter accident. And to get up in front of a room full of 100 people of your peers that have a ton of experience, and to get up there and I don't want to say air your dirty laundry, but say what happened and the mistakes that you made and share it with us. Yeah. Man, you leave that hour-long class going, wow, I don't ever want to do that. Yeah. Or if you've already, you know, I've been in that situation like they have, but most of the people in that class did not. The point is, take something that they just taught you on how they made some mistakes, it cost somebody's life, and take that back to your unit and share it. And so I get back to the people that don't get outside of their unit bubble. And, you know, and it's the same for SR3 Rescue. You don't know what you don't know. You come to one of these things and you go, wow, I never thought about that. Sure. Or I'm using that piece of equipment that they're telling you not to use, and here's the reason why. You don't know those things if you stay in your own little bubble. So you go to the classes here, that's the kind of things you hear about, and I think it's golden. I mean, it's worth coming to conferences like this. And then, you know, once that was 3 days of hoist rescue, guys telling what happened, what went right, what went wrong, people who have lost team members through mistakes. And then you learn all that, and then you come over here. Today's the first day of Expo, and you're learning stuff here by stopping by the booths. Yeah. You're making new contacts and building relationships. This whole Heli Expo, I call it Heli Expo. I know it's Verticon now, but I'll always call it Expo. And the classes that they offer, they're invaluable in my opinion.
You summed up our feelings on conferences in a wonderful way. Yeah. Education, training, and networking. Those are the 3 things that are going to improve your career. Coming from you spent 32 years flying successfully. Yeah. I think that's worth its weight in gold, those words that come out of your mouth, because it's 100% true. At least it's what I believe. Yeah. I think most people do that are successful in this business. So I appreciate you throwing that out there, because it's great. This conversation took a turn that I not that I didn't expect for it to take a turn, because I knew it would be great, but we haven't even touched on some of the stuff that I wanted to get into. Yeah. So going back to this career achievement stuff, you've done a lot of things. When you look back over the course of your career, what's the one, and this is tough, we talked about this before, but what's the most impactful incident that you can recall being a part of?
It's time for your Heli Life giveaway secret word. Listen up and remember this word, because you'll need it to enter for a chance to win exclusive Heli Life gear. Ready? This episode's secret word is chase. Visit contests.verticalhelicast.com to enter the secret word.
Oh, man. I mean, if you guys think about it, you've both flown in the for law enforcement, and there's so many things that have happened. I mean, you would almost have to sit down and crack open a logbook and go, oh, I forgot about that. Or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I have 3 logbooks now, and I would flip through them and go, I honestly forgot about that one. So I'll throw out one that, you know, there's many, but I'll throw out one. We had an active shooter up in a high-rise in one of our cities in San Diego called Chula Vista. And this guy was in a place called Congressional Towers, and he was up on one of the upper floors. They couldn't really tell which floor, but he was shooting down on people outside this high rise. So we get called in. Our SWAT team has the whole high rise surrounded. Chula Vista doesn't have their own SWAT team, so usually smaller cities will ask the bigger entities to come in, and it's us in San Diego Police. Right. So they chose to ask for the sheriff's SWAT team. Get in there, and any SWAT guy, I was on the SWAT team, if you have a tall building to clear, what do they want? They don't want to start at the bottom.
Nope.
You're taught to start at the top. So we're still having MD-500s. If it would have happened now, we have the medium Hueys, and we have fast rope capability in our SWAT team, fast ropes. Back then, we didn't have any of that. So I did a recon up on this building and saw that you can't land on top. They had the wires, all kinds of stuff, but there was like a edge of the top of the building, and it went 4 feet down, and then there was the top of the roof. So we reconned it, and I said, you guys aren't going to like this. We can get you up there 2 at a time, but it's going to be a toe in on the edge of the roof, and you're going to have to shimmy up the skids and jump down on the roof. Let's do it. So we had our SWAT team go over to a schoolyard, open field, 2 at a time, had 2 500s going, toe in. And one of the funny things that one of the guys on the SWAT team that I knew hated heights, right? He was the guy getting out of the back, shimmying past my open door. And I'm just holding, the skids on. And before he gets to the edge of the roof, it's 16 stories down.
Yeah.
And if you could have seen the look on his face, I'm holding it, rotor wash, and he comes by, and I look at him, and you couldn't have fit a pin up his butt. And he got in, and he was so relieved, back away, go get 2 more, and put 18 guys on top, and they cleared from the top, bottom, and finally found the guy. He took his own life when they got close. But
that SWAT guy probably still thinks about that.
He does, and he would bring that up to me for years, and I go, dude, the look on your face, I wish I had a snapshot of it. It was the funniest thing. You're in the middle of a stressful situation, and you still find, and maybe I'm just crazy, I just found a moment of hilarity because I knew this guy, and I knew he was hating life.
Yes.
Not that he had to go after a gunman. It's that he was 16 stories up. So there's one that comes to mind.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Wendy, for you, I know you didn't hear of all the incidents he was a part of, but what's one that stands out to you as something that was impactful?
I'm of course losing Pat.
Yeah.
I think, and this I learned after the fact because this was early on and he was a TFO, and an APB comes out for this guy who had bludgeoned and killed one of his parents, and he bludgeoned both. One was dead, one was hanging on. And took their vehicle and fled the scene. So Astria gets involved. He is all over the county. He's going the wrong way on the freeway. I mean, it was just crazy. Well, he finally ends up in Ramona, which is a rural area. And, he's not going to lose Astria. I mean, it's not going to lose the helicopter.
Yeah, right.
And next thing you know, he blasts through a gate, and he's driving just on a dirt road. And he bails out of the car and starts running up this brush-covered hill. And at the time, Tony's pilot was Bill Hubbard, and he said, dude, you're jumping out. You're going after him. And so he gets low enough for Tony to bail out, and Tony goes and gets him. And so, I mean, again, no cell phones or anything. He leaves me a message on our answering machine. That tells you how long ago it was.
Oh, yeah.
And I get home from work, and I play, and he's like, hey, babe, I'm going to be a little late. We had a call today. If you watch the news, don't worry, I'm okay. I'm just
It's one of those news calls.
That's how it went down in those days. You didn't have cell phones.
No.
Man, it's funny.
So that just stuck with me like, holy cow, he's not just flying in the helicopter. He's going to jump out. There's nobody around.
A double murder suspect he's going to take down by himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no backup,
Boy.
And so I was like, I think I'd rather him just be in the helicopter.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What time frame is this?
Oh God, that was probably 20 years ago.
That was probably.
Wow. I would have to look it up, but to add on to that, one of the funny things is
mid-90s.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's running through thick brush with branches.
Yeah.
And I'm so close to him. Every time he runs through, I'm taking branches to the face. You know how you bend them? And I'm getting cut up at this point, and I'm just getting upset. And because I'm getting close, I finally catch the guy, get him in custody, cuff him up, and oh man, it must have been a quarter-mile walk out to the road. And I come out from some bushes, and I must have looked like a complete idiot because the news is already there, and I've got cuts, and it was just another moment of hilarity. I just have these moments that I'm like, oh geez, you know. So it's crazy.
Story.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
The Chargers are recruiting you at that point to become a linebacker for them.
not even close.
Wow.
Oh man, that's cool.
That's funny you remembered that one.
Yeah. Well, I never thought about the fact that he would ever be pursuing somebody on the ground.
With that.
Yeah.
He's been there, done that. He doesn't do that anymore.
But
you
then,
guys probably done it. Sometimes you land and you help out.
I mean, it makes sense. You know, I mean, they were way ahead of units on the ground. You know, so
I remember in patrol, the thing you hated about foot pursuits is all the gear you've got on.
Yeah.
You know, you're running down the street and everything's clinking around. But in air support, I don't know
you're
if
pretty light.
Did you even have a gun?
Oh, look, we got more visitors.
What's going on, Chris? You're running chasing this guy. Did you have? What did you have?
I had a gun belt, but you're not weighed down. We didn't wear bulletproof vests, in the helicopter.
Yep.
So I was light, and I was fresh off the SWAT team.
Yeah.
I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know, he's probably about 32 years old, and he even posted up like he wanted to fight. I'm like, really, dude? Got him down, So yeah, you're pretty light in the air unit. It's not like all the stuff we wore on patrol. And now they're wearing the vests on the outside with all their equipment on. I couldn't imagine
jumping a fence with that.
A good foot pursuit with all that weight on.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I think one of the most embarrassing things that in my career that happened, I was in a foot pursuit, jumping over a fence. It was probably a 4-foot fence. Go to jump over the fence, and my magazine pouch caught the top of the fence and flipped me over. I'm chasing my glasses, all my yard sale everywhere. We still caught the guy, though.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
But it was embarrassing. I'm picking up all my stuff.
Yep. It happens.
Wow, it's pretty cool looking over the course of your career and all the stuff that you've been a part of, and looking at the technological changes, the cultural changes that you've been a part of. When you look over some of the challenges that exist over the course of your career that aren't the things that we talked about, what would you say some of the most challenging parts of this law enforcement and aviation career have been?
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers. Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 160-plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
Thanks to our sponsor, Traca Systems. With over 25 years delivering groundbreaking searchlights, stabilized EOIR cameras, mission mapping, and downlinking solutions, Traca products improve situational clarity and coordination with ground crews, increasing mission safety and effectiveness. Visit tracasystems.com. See clearly, act decisively. Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, and save lives and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of the Hangar Z Podcast. John and I really enjoyed recording these episodes with Tony and Wendy Weber. They are both very special people, and both have inspired others in so many ways. The mentorship they have both provided to so many people is simply amazing. A very special thank you to Wendy for sharing her thoughts, her feelings, her emotions on so many topics. We hope you found this conversation as compelling as we did. Thank you again to our sponsors and our listeners. John and I feel very fortunate to be able to share these conversations with so many of you. The MHM publishing team makes it all possible. Don't forget to check out all of the Vertical Helicast podcasts, including the Real Rescue podcast, the Helicopter podcast, the Vertical MRO podcast, and the newest member of the family, the Valor Flight Crew podcast, covering the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. For more information, go to verticalhelicasts.com. Catch you the next time on the Hangar Z Podcast.